The Defence Minister, Stephen Smith, appears determined to use the Defence Force Academy Skype sex scandal to force much broader reform on the military. Among the changes he wants is to make all positions, including those on the front line, available to women. Since the initial complaint, the Defence Department and the Minister's office have received hundreds of further complaints and allegations of abuse. And Stephen Smith says they'll all be dealt with by an independent legal team outside the military system. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton reports from Canberra.
The argument over women's place in the military isn't new, as the Prime Minister acknowledged today in singling out a former chief of the Defence Force.
A few years ago I heard Peter Cosgrove say that men and women should have an equal right to fight and die for their country. I think he's right about that, and I think it's a good turn of phrase.
And so the government's moving now to open up all positions for women in the ADF, including the 7% of jobs they're not currently eligible for.
What we want to do is to bring it forward.
The move follows allegations that 6 male Australian Defence Force Academy cadets watched over Skype as another male colleague had sex with a female cadet. She didn't know, it's alleged, they were watching.
This issue is unconnected with the ADFA issue, and you wonder why the government has suddenly thrown this into the mix. It does seem like a government in search of a distraction.
But Stephen Smith appears to be sending a message to the senior defence establishment.
It opens up, in a leadership sense, all of the leadership roles for women in defence, the defence organisation and the defence services themselves, and that's an unambiguously good thing.
Since the Skype scandal broke, hundreds more complaints and allegations of bastardry and sexual impropriety have rolled into the Minister's office and the Defence Department itself. The Minister won't be allowing those allegations to be handled internally.
The Secretary of the Department will commission an external legal team to go through all of those suggestions and allegations that have been made.
The move comes on top of Mr Smith's appointment of the Sex Discrimination Commissioner to look into how Australia's military culture treats women.
The Defence Force, in a sense, is not alone in terms of that culture. I mean, you look at cultures such as the NRL, such as AFL, such as some of the big mining companies and others. It absolutely is possible, and I'm looking forward to working together with a small team to actually start to work on the cultural audit.
The decision to open up more defence jobs for women and comparisons with the football culture have already gotten under the skin of at least one former Special Forces soldier.
Well, I think you've got to be careful about, in that analogy, in realising that we're not going to ask the first grade Parramatta team to have women playing in first grade. And I think you've got to make sure that you don't similarly expect the first grade in defence, which is a very physical business, the ultimate physical contest, to do the same thing.
And he defended ADFA's Commandant, Commodore Kafer, who's on a forced leave of absence after Stephen Smith labelled his handling of the Skype scandal stupid and insensitive.
I think that the way that the Commodore was hung out to dry was really unconscionable.
It's a decision that the Vice Chief made because he thought it was in the Commodore's best interests.
And tonight there's another twist on the Defence Force culture story. Independent Tasmanian MP Andrew Wilkie's revealed that unnamed people have been threatening to expose compromising photographs taken of him from his time as a military cadet at Duntroon 30 years ago. He's also received death threats. He's fingering interests opposed to his stance on poker machines. Tom Eagleton, Lateline.